Hello vapors, this is Vaping with an Acquired Brain Injury checking in. A couple of coils to review. I have the iJoy combo, and in the iJoy combo we have a pair of Poltergeist coils. There are 4 wraps each, culminate at 0.18, and they're unbelievable. A long ramp up time, 100 watts. We can hear that there's spit back or what? Nothing, no spit back. It's a whiteout. As you can see, I've got my wicks all the way down to the bottom in the combo, like I normally do, because I'm not one of these fans of having to tilt it to prime up a wick. I think these Jenny style tanks are self-explanatory. Anyway, so that's just the way I wick up. It's my preference, and I find it works. In this one, the e-juice I'm using in that one is Pony by the Arc, and it's a Spanish company, and it's very good. Now I liken this to Wick Liquor the Carnival, and I mentioned it to somebody else who uses Wick Liquor, and they said the same thing. It does actually smell like Carnival, and it actually tastes like Carnival. So all is good. You just whack off the top of you. If you've done a blindfold test, somebody handed you this, and you are a fan of Wick Liquor, you go. You would say Wick Liquor. So anyway, so that's the combo, and that's Ghost Vapor's Poltergeist coils, and they are superb coils, absolutely superb. Very smooth, very flavorful. They are flavor chaser coils. Make no mistake, they are flavor chaser, and they perform so well. Good for clouds as well. Okay, now in the Avocado 24, sat on top of my customized Dogpo Twisted Messes. I keep customizing it. I think this is around about the 4th customization of this mod already. I keep dropping it. As you can see, I've dropped it again, smashed off the bottom part, and I just keep dropping it. And when I drop this thing, I don't drop it onto carpets. I drop it onto hard surfaces and marbled floors, marble tiles, and the chip just performs and performs. It doesn't matter what you do to this thing, and it weighs a ton. So you can imagine dropping this from 3'6" onto a hard surface, and it still works afterwards. It just goes to show how good the chip is in these Dogpo Twisted Messes 150. Never let me down. Some people might say the ramp up time is a bit lagged. Might be a bit lagged. There are faster devices, but are there more reliable devices which hit up to the numbers, and are accurate like this one is? Because this one is very accurate when it hits the numbers. When you hit 150, if you're between 0.9 and 0.30, yes, it does perform really well, and no complaints whatsoever. And anyway, so back to the tank, the Avocado 24. In the Avocado 24, we have pair of what I call the Helter-skelter coils. They're essentially um, they're they're similar to the Poltergeist coils, but it's only one strand. But there's a difference. The one strand is the core wire is 26 gauge, so you've made a micro clapton, a 32 36 micro clapton, then you've claptoned that one onto the 26 gauge. Then you get a length of 28 gauge and use it as a spacing wire, and you let it feed up. Now what you find is because you have to put a lot of tension on this wire to get it to sit down onto the wire smoothly and evenly, the wire always snaps off its chuck. It averages 3 breaks at the chuck, to actually do this wire. Once you hear it start to break, stop, because if you don't, you're going to decore a section of wire, and you'll find you will not be able to recore that section of wire. And so whenever you hear a breakage, stop, take it out of the chuck, trim a bit off, put it back in the chuck, and carry on. But this is how the Helter-skelter performs. This is at 90 watts. They're running at 0.27. They're 5 wraps each. But it's the vape. Unbelievable. It's smooth, warm, flavorful, the same as the combo. And what I'm using, this one is the Penguin. I think it's Penguin, I'll just check. Yeah, that's Penguin. Good thing about the Penguin, it's a fruit. It's an infusion of fruits, and it's amazing stuff. And it's 60-40, 60 VG, 40 PG, but it vapes like an 80-20. But the flavour is just amazing. Very, very good flavours in both of these. So fair play to the Spanish. They know how to make e-liquid. Yes. And rocks. And this one. This is Miami Drip Club. It's by Cheap Thrills. It's made in Brighton by CVS, is it? SVC Labs. And yeah, in Brighton. And this is something else. This is, I can throw it on this one, it doesn't matter, because this one's a fruity one anyway, but this one is so strong. This is such an amazing lemon that it's just going to mask all the rest of the flavours on this coil. I'd say that is the best lemon out there. Seriously, that is the best, freshest, zingiest, tangiest, dance all over your taste bud lemon out there. It is seriously good. So this is what is it? Take a day trip. What is it? Take a drip to Vape City. Oh no, take a drip to Vice City. Vice? That's Vice. Vice City. Take a drip to Vice City. That must be ripping off a song or something. But it's the Miami Drip Club anyway, and it's called Lemon 11, and it's amazing. And they're the same company who do the Cheap Thrills Glory Glaze. Cheap Thrills, Juice It, Glory Glaze. Like I said, it sounds like a porn movie. But this is blueberry donut. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It's just like you walked into a donut shop and it's like somebody's just opened the deep fryer, and you're getting all those hints and all the smells from the donuts, and that's what you get. Very nice, and it's I don't know what it is. Oh, it's a 70-30 blend. I've got another. It's a donut concoction. It's a 80-20. It doesn't taste nothing like donuts at all. It's okay, but overrated. Then I have a liquid state. Liquid state passion punch, which is absolutely amazing. One of the best passion fruits out there. Seriously, this is seriously good. I'll recommend this one to anyone. But as for the coils, difficulty level, I'd say it's average. It's more time consuming than difficult. I would say it's easier than the staple coil, because the staple coil is all preparation. This is all hands-on. A lot of things can go wrong. If your micro clapton is too tight, it's very hard to clapton onto anything else. If it's too springy, you're going to lose too much, and if it does want to twist off the wire, as you're clapton in it, and sometimes you do lose quite a bit of wire in the process. Trying to tighten it up, you've got to be very careful. You've got to get it tightened just right. I tried using forceps on the end to hold it back, but what I found was that it wanted to untwist on itself, and it got to a point where it just didn't want to clapton, and then it snapped and sprang back like a feckin' jack-in-the-box. And there was this thing just spinning around, the only thing connecting onto it was the actual 36 gauge, and so the core wire was broken. So I had this 36 gauge which was coming off the core wire. So, there's complications in the build, and especially in the Helter-skelter coil. One of the hardest parts is trying to get the 28 gauge on the 26 gauge, because the wire keeps snapping off at the chuck, because you have to hold so much tension on the 28 gauge to get it to lie evenly across that wire, and it's difficult. So it is an advanced build. So the two coils, the Poltergeist coil, where you have to manually stitch them together, and this Helter-skelter coil, they are an advanced build. And because if people are saying that the staple coil is an advanced build, then these are definitely an advanced build, because these are more difficult. They are more difficult. because there's not really much can go wrong with a stable coil once you've got everything stacked up and set up right, on on your swivels and stuff. Not much more can go wrong. It's when you're clapped in or cross it. That's simple enough. It doesn't matter what you're clapped in on. That's the easy part. It's the preparation of the stacked wires which is more difficult than anything else. But with these coils, every step is a challenge. Even the micro claptons, they can be challenging at times. So you'll have bad days when you're making a micro clapton. Something goes wrong. It's like you've got a drill on too fast a speed, and then the core wire suddenly decides to twist up on itself at the end, and then it gets snagged in the tube. It's happened to me a few times. And then there's trying to straighten the core wire, the 32 gauge. Normally you'd have a long stretch of wire, and then you hold it and then give it a tug, and it'll just give slightly, and that'll straighten the wire. But what I found today was I attempted 3 times to do that, and it snapped. Bang! Smack in the middle. Snapped in the middle 3 times. So I had to put it in the drill to twist it up to get it to get a straight piece of wire, and even that went wrong. so I wasn't having a very good day today. But a few days ago, for the last 3-4 days, I was able to just put a micro clapton together with my eyes closed. Everything just worked perfectly. Didn't have any snags, no problems whatsoever. And all those coils I spent all that time over, I donated them. I gave them away. I think that's all part and parcel of the vaping community. That's what we do. We give things away. We take an inspiration from other people, and then we're sharing it with other people, other vapors. And somebody I barely know, I gave him a couple of Poltergeist coils and said, "Give these a go." He gave me half a bottle. He gave me half a bottle of e-liquid one day. It's just like, this is what we do. This is what makes this community so fucking great. It's like you have your quitters who are using your pen style, the ego style, and they're just quitters. And then you get the builders and the hobbyists and the old community that is built around that. And this is what is different to the quitters who are on the egos, the people who don't want to spend more than £5 for anything. That's where we differ in the vaping community. So there should be 2 communities. There should be a sub-community. We call those the quitters, and then the vaping community proper, which are for the more advanced vapors. Because we seem to be in this, I don't think we should be boxed in with the people who are quitting smoking or just want to use vaping products to quit smoking. I think the hobbyists and the coil builders should be in a whole category altogether. Because we've moved on from being quitters, we've moved on from being addicted to nicotine. We've moved on. We've created a whole lifestyle, and I think that's important to acknowledge. Because we don't seem to be the quitters anymore. Do you know what I mean? We're not the quitters anymore. We're the advanced vapors. So it's food for thought. It just crossed my mind, because I thought, wow, we could all be quitters and just remain quitters, and that's it, but we're not. And yeah. So yeah, I think we should be put in a different category altogether from the newbie quitter. Anyway, they're just my thoughts. You might agree, you might disagree. But I'd like to have some comments on that too. I'd like to know what you think. whether we should be in a whole different category altogether. Because if you think about it, what we are actually doing is we use products which do not mimic smoking. They do not look like cigarettes. They don't perform the same way as cigarettes. And there is nothing tobacco product about these at all. Nothing at all. And there was another thing I was thinking about earlier on, and it slipped my mind now. And this is more to do with the TV license, and people with computers going to be forced to buy a TV license if they don't have a TV, because these people say, well, you want a computer with a screen larger than 11 inches, so it's technically speaking a TV, because you can access television channels on your laptop or whatever. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's a bit of a nonsense, because if I walk past a newsstand and there's headlines on a newspaper, and I read the headlines of a newspaper, should I be charged? Should I be made pay for that newspaper because I read what was on the front of this newspaper? You see, it works in the same way. It's like saying you've got something in a corner which you're never going to use. He said, well, you've got to pay for the privilege of having it in the corner. That's nonsense. It's the same way with the vaping community. We have devices which don't look like cigarettes, don't act like cigarettes, don't, nothing to do with cigarettes whatsoever. So for somebody to turn around and say we're going to tax them, or we're going to restrict these in the same way we're going to restrict tobacco, then that is an absolute nonsense. And so there are so many things which are a nonsense in this world, and we're left scratching our heads as if wondering, did we miss something? What's going on? What's the real motive of these people? Why they want to get these banned altogether, or restricted to the point that they're not going to be enjoyable anymore? What's really going on? Is it really all down to money and the taxes? That is a lot to do with it. Do these people really care about public health? Not at all. Do these people even listen to expert opinions? Well, we've seen time and time again they don't. Are these people even qualified to make a decision for us? You look at their employment record, you say no, they're not. We have a health minister who's trained as a journalist. So no, these people are not even qualified to make life-altering decisions. So you've got to ask yourself, what is really going on? Why do they really want to ban, tanks and mods in some countries? It's all a big power play by the globalists, and they don't want to see anybody muscling in their territory, so to speak. It's a bit like property developers. The biggest property developers don't like small fish property developers, and always price these people out of the market. And this is what's happening. So the small vendor or the small producer of e-liquids is going to be forced out of the market by the bigger fish. There's going to be no protections, like there are no protections for the small business owner, in other fields. If there are bigger fish, the bigger fish will get greedy and they'll gobble these other companies up. And so it's nothing to do with public health, it's nothing to do with saving lives, it's nothing to do with that at all. They don't care about human life. Human life is not a consideration to them. We are money in the bank to these people, and we are coffers, and we're slaves to the tax which we are forced to pay because our governments are forced to take out loans to run their countries. This is why we have national debts, and they keep increasing. They never decrease, even in the so-called good times. So we've got to pay for that through taxes. They don't care where these taxes come from. So if they're going to tax up cigarettes or everything else, or they look at the vaping community saying they're eating into the tobacco taxes, what are our governments doing? They're going to side with the TPD and the FDA, because they know that if we as a community grow to such a point, to critical levels, the government's going to lose a lot of money in taxes from cigarettes. And we also have the those unions for what they call them, convenience stores. The unions are kicking up a stink because they're losing revenue because there's cigarette smugglers eating into their market. Like, these people couldn't even care for public health. Nobody cares about public health. So this is why we have to fight. This is why we have to fight. But we've got to do it intelligently. We have to have the right answers. We have to be able to make salient points and make them loud, and take them onto the radio airwaves or wherever we can. Or with biggest subscribers, on YouTube channels to get your message across. I don't think that even works. Even the radio listeners, half of them are brain dead anyway, because I know I've given enough interviews on radio to know that the general public can be lula. When I called, was it the tobacco company, mass murderers, some girl texted in to the radio station, took offence to me calling the tobacco industry mass murderers, and then she twisted it as if to say I was implying that people can go out and murder their next of kin. This is the way these people's minds work. It's warped, it's twisted. She took it all out of context. I've had that in the past, when I said I'd line all the liberals against the wall and shoot every single one of them. And somebody came onto the radio station and said, "The war is over, my friend." He was missing the point. Just making the point that the liberals have torn their life and soul out of this country, and they're continuing to do it with the TPD and all the rest of these prohibitions. It's the liberals who are doing it, nobody else. The critical thinkers are conservatives, and there's not many of us left. So yeah. So anyway, look, lads, it's getting late. I'm going to call it a day. Anyway, so that's a couple of reviews. Enjoy. Right, bye.